Mac, and I had it all set up, but I'm a PC guy, so I'm learning how to use Mac. What's up, Jesse? How you doing?
What's up? Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, good morning. Bueno, let me, I apologize todos para este problemita technical problems, pero aquí estamos, es un sábado hoy, el 8 de mayo, estoy en San Diego, California, yo soy Ricardo Álvarez, y estamos haciendo ahorita cafecito con negozee, con Tony Martínez, que está ahorita ¿dónde andas, Tony?
Ahorita voy ando en Orange County, California, cerca de Ana. Ana está aquí en Santa Ana y es una hora de ti, Rick.
Yeah. Matter of fact, pensaba de ir hoy a Los Ángeles con va a haber un evento ahí, pero no estoy seguro, pero ya, es cerquita estás ahorita, Tony.
Ya, no, estaba hablando con Ana que voy a hablar con este hotel, el Doubletree by Hilton en Anaheim, para ver si tienen espacio en octubre para poder hacer un seminario aquí en persona, o at least como de las 9 para algo, para poder empezar a conectarnos aquí localmente.
Ok, so aquí todavía estoy aquí arreglando todos estos alambres, pero mira, aquí estamos con Jesse y quería darles a todos ustedes conocimiento de lo que yo creciendo aquí en San Diego, haciendo primera generación mexicano. Mis papás vinieron de Hermosillo. Siempre estábamos aquí, ¿verdad? Somos mexicanos. Yo siempre estaba aquí en la frontera, toda mi familia es de la frontera de Hermosillo, mi mamá es de Tecate, Baja California. So, en esta área, pues, creciendo aquí en Estados Unidos, el primer lenguaje para mí era inglés, Tony. You know, I learned English first. You know, that's my first language. El español lo tenía que aprender. Claro, cuando estás creciendo, estás hablando en español con tus mamás, con tus abuelos, pero no, yo no fui a clases en México, todas mis clases fue aquí en Estados Unidos. Y pues cuando uno está en esta posición de mente de aprender, cómo estás más a gusto, cómo estás aprendiendo, para mí es inglés, you know. I prefer to speak English when I'm going to express myself better, in a sense. Pero también lo cambio, es raro como tenemos nosotros el estilo latino, ¿no? El estilo latino porque el español es mundial, estamos en, el lenguaje del español es más común que el inglés, ¿no? Porque yo digo, ¿verdad? Que, hay más países que hablan español que otros lenguajes, ¿no? We're very powerhouse, you know, la música latina, la comida latino, el culture latino es muy fuerte y por eso me gustó mucho, Tony, que comenzaste negozee, porque estamos hablando nada más a todos los que hablan en español, pero los que son latinos, ¿verdad? Y ahorita quiero presentar a Jesse. Y Jesse está aquí con nosotros. Right now you're in Las Vegas, right, Jesse? I want to introduce you.
Yes.
Jesse Perez, and you're in Las Vegas right now, and I was talking about being in San Diego, going to school, English classes, American boys, right? But we're Latinos, right? We're Latinos. Our grandparents, our parents, all of us, speak Spanish, and I always say like, oh, where are you from? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, where are you from? Like, are you from Mexico? Are you from Ireland? Are you from, are you Italian? And I always say, well, wait a minute. When you're going to have a reunion, or when you're going to have a party, or when you're going to have Christmas, do you guys have tamales? Do you guys have lumpias? Do you guys have pasta? I always talk about them like that. It's like a cultural thing, right? And that's kind of start finding out where we're from. In Latinos, we have all types of interesting mixes. And that's what you're kind of doing right now, right? With Latino Rhythm Conference, correct? Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, so yeah, again, my name is Jesse Perez. I'm actually from San Diego, born and raised in San Diego, and I live in Las Vegas now. I've been here for 2 years, but I ran a conference from 2005 to 2010 called the Latin Rap Conference. So we did, it's only a span of 5 years, but we actually did 7 conferences back then in New York, Los Angeles, and 2 in San Diego. And what it is it was bringing together the Latin hip hop and reggaeton industries. And every company at that time, in 2004, 2005, that was trying to just be a part of the Latin kind of music explosion that was happening. It was kind of the second wave of it. In the 90s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, we had the wave with like Ricky Martin and Enrique Iglesias, and then by 2004, late 90s, early 2000s, we had the wave with Ricky Martin and Enrique Iglesias, and by 2004, late 90s, early 2000s, we had the wave.
All right, go ahead. There was some feedback.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then in 2004, 2005, there was kind of the explosion that happened again with reggaeton. And in 2005, I was actually asked to head a radio station in San Diego. And we had the #1 radio station in San Diego, which is at that time, San Diego was a number 17 market. It's a pretty big deal. We had the #1 morning show, and I hosted it, and it was called the Loco Locos en la Mañana. And what's interesting about San Diego, a lot of people don't get, since it's a border town, all the radio stations, not just the Spanish ones, but all the radio stations are actually, the towers are in Tijuana. So they're right across the border, so they face that way. So that way you get from the very tip of South San Diego, San Isidro at the border, all the way to Oceanside, to the north side of San Diego, you get the whole signal. So if they put the towers anywhere in the middle of the city, it would be kind of hard to spread out to get the whole city. So and I assume it was also, probably less expensive back then whenever they were building these towers to have them. In Mexico, the FCC laws are a little bit different. So it's a very unique situation. I think El Paso has something similar in Texas, where the stations are actually based in Mexico. So
and I know at 12 o'clock they have the national anthem, the Mexicano, right?
In all the stations, even the country station, the rock station, there's probably, nothing but, you know what I mean? But American listening.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know at midnight. ¿Cuándo tienen the anthem? Is it at 12?
Every midnight, yeah.
Every midnight.
Yeah. It's cool, it's cool.
El himno nacional mexicano.
Sí, el nacional mexicano. Yeah.
And so we did a station that we thought would work. It was the first time this had been done in the whole country. And you guys might live in cities where you've heard something similar, but we had a Spanglish format. So the Loco Locos en la Mañana was a morning show that was all in Spanglish. So we were playing music. We were talking in between songs. We were playing songs that were either Spanish or English or even Spanglish, hip hop music and reggaeton. And at that time, I know it seems like from then to now, it probably seems, if you listen to radio now, it's not a big deal to hear, a Bad Bunny or Ozuna or somebody on pop radio that's doing something all in Spanish. But at that time, it was unheard of. And in just 15 years ago, in 2004, it was, if it was Spanish, it had to be on Spanish radio. Or if it was, English, it would be on English radio. And so we kind of broke that mold. And as a result of that, the station was #1 because, again, it's San Diego, right? The audience was there for it. So the station was #1. The morning show that I hosted was #1. And I started to get a lot of work and calls and to do consulting for other radio stations. And so I consulted for La Mega in New York, which is the #1 station in the #1 market in the country. I consulted for Latino 96.3 in LA, that was in Los Angeles for the first time in 20 years, became the #1 station in like 2007, 2008, after other pop stations had dominated that. And so that format, became more popular across the country, and you probably, again, maybe heard it in your own city, and it became kind of a standard thing for a very long time. As another result of that, I actually started to meet in 2005, 2006. In 2005, all of the artists and the record labels, because I worked at the radio station, so they were calling in to get their songs played. We were the only station, again, at that time that was playing a lot of this music. We broke, like Pitbull's first big single out of San Diego. And so when I started to get all those phone calls, I realized that we did not have any kind of conference, any kind of music convention that was based and focused solely on Latino. And I had attended a lot of music conferences at that time, and realized, again, there was not even like, a back corner or some area where Latinos in urban music, more specifically in pop and urban music, could gather and just kind of learn from each other and network. And so I started something that started the Latin Rap Conference. And it was a big success. We again, 7 events back then, anywhere from 500 to 1,500 attendees at the different conferences. The New York ones were a lot bigger, but all industry. So the coolest part about the conferences that we do is it's mostly industry. It's all people who are either artists, record labels, producers, DJs, promoters, websites, clothing brands, anyone that is interested in any way, shape, or form with getting involved with Latino urban Latin music. And so the conferences were really successful. Around 2010, 2011, that started to die out a lot, to do with the economy, if everyone remembers around that time. And we stopped doing them. So I've rebranded it, starting it now for, again, there's been this other explosion right now. I mean, I don't know what kind of things you guys specifically talk about on this.
No, you're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're doing it. It's all business. So what we're definitely talking about is Latinos in business and entrepreneurship and looking for resources, helping out the Latino market, the Latino culture of asking for help, getting educated, getting resources. Not, sometimes the resources are as far as your household, you know what I mean? And with all the, with all the vast information that's out there and resources out there, like yourself, that are doing these conferences, and like Negozee, and there's other Latino, expos now coming up. I think it's really important for us to pay attention to these expos and to these conferences, so we can start networking and branching out and getting the knowledge that's out there that we need to grab and let people know, let our culture know that it's okay to ask, it's okay not to know, it's okay to be in the search for knowledge and a preguntar lo que uno no sabe, ¿entiendes? Like, and use, not just because you're Latino that you have to learn, you have to speak Spanish to be a Latino. No, you're a Latino. It's your culture. And yes, so Jesse, the conference, tell us a little bit more of the dates.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
So I rebranded it this year. I actually am bringing it back because of demand. If anyone's paying attention to pop culture right now, the 3 biggest artists on YouTube worldwide are Ozuna, Bad Bunny, and J Balvin. And those are the 3 artists with the most views, the most subscribers, and in that order, right? So Ozuna, Bad Bunny, and J Balvin. And that's not saying the biggest artists, Latino artists, the biggest artists, period. So bigger than, every other, bigger than Ariana Grande and whatever other artists.
Can we say worldwide?
Worldwide, yeah, globally on YouTube, the 3 biggest artists are, urban Latino, Latino artists. And the majority, 90% of those 3 artists' music is in Spanish. So it's a big deal that people are paying attention, and the buying power is starting to show itself, right? People estimate that Latinos have 1.7 trillion in buying power. And it's in the past has been kind of hard to gauge, and people, you could see the numbers, but you couldn't really like point right at something. And right now that you can point right at like YouTube analytics and just look at, someone's following in social media, it makes it a lot a lot easier to kind of argue why we need some attention paid, towards Latinos. And a big miss, I think, something I didn't mention earlier when I started the conference back then, another kind of just stream that opened up because of it was I started a marketing company, because companies understood that people started to call me to say, hey, can you put me in contact with these artists, or can you help me with the campaigns? You seem to have kind of a grasp on how to reach the Hispanic culture. And I use the term Hispanic just because that's the way companies and marketers think of just everyone that speaks Spanish, right? And they just want to lump us all together. And so, I identify as Chicano. I was born in San Diego. My family's from Jalisco. But again, just like you, Rick, my first language was actually Spanish, obviously at home. And then you turn 5 years old and go to school, and now you're just forced to learn English, right? And my kindergarten, first grade, and second grade were rough, and I got in a lot of little fights because I didn't speak English, and kind of, you know what I mean? So kind of learned to
El pocho, right? Pocho,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Pochos.
So
Pocho
but what companies are realizing, and they have been for a long time. When I had the marketing company in the mid 2000s, people, and you guys will remember, 20 years ago, if you saw a McDonald's commercial aimed at Latinos, it'd be like salsa music in it, right? And it's because the marketers are all based in like New York and Miami, the big advertising companies, and it's not their fault, but what they know when they think of Latinos is Puerto Rican, Cuban, Dominican, right? But what a lot of people miss is that when you're talking about, again, Hispanics, or everyone that speaks Spanish across the whole United States, 68% of that is of Mexican descent. And so they were not understanding back then why they were just missing the boat. Like, I don't know, we did a commercial and we put salsa music in it, and we don't know why it's not working. And it's,
isn't that good enough for everybody?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And again, not to say that we don't listen to salsa music.
I love salsa music.
Not to go on a tangent, but the reason why Bad Bunny, Ozuna, and J Balvin are the biggest artists, the number one country that's consuming their music is actually Mexico. Without Mexico, artists coming out of Puerto Rico or the Dominican, Puerto Rico's tiny, right? Cuba's tiny. The Dominican Republic is small compared to Mexico. It's the Mexican audience that is supporting this music that is really making it, blow up. And so yes, we listen to all that music, but if you really want to authentically integrate into the Latino communities, you have to kind of know what you're trying to do and where, and not generalize so much with, well, everyone that speaks Spanish, they're Hispanic, so they're all the same and they're all culturally the same. And that's where we make a mistake, and that a lot of companies miss that, right? And they think, well, and I don't know if you guys talk a lot about marketing in these calls, but in the marketing world, again, obviously Hispanic would kind of encompass all of us. It doesn't do them any service, right? Because they're not separating and being specific with the different cultural aspects of everyone that speaks Spanish. But the other kind of trap that they fall into is also not kind of identifying culturally, different areas and what works where. And they use these terms. They call it a Hispanicity profile in marketing, and they use these terms like ambicultural. And ambicultural would describe, I think like you and I, Rick, like ambicultural meaning speak Spanish, but mostly raised in the US and prefers English. And then they have a spectrum of how much of that there is. And then they call the other side of the spectrum, Nueva Latina, meaning like they're just first generation arrived here and don't speak English and speak Spanish. And so there's this kind of spectrum of like 5 or 6 different categories that they use in the marketing world. And a lot of people in the marketing world that I've done campaigns for and helped out with, they think, well, anyone that speaks English, they're going to respond to our normal English campaigns that we put out for American people. And right. What they're missing is that when they want to target urban or African American or Black Americans, they obviously pay attention. They speak English, but you pay attention if you want to target that market specifically to try and again, integrate into that culture somehow, whether it's music or having the right, having Black people on screen or whatever it is, to give that feel that, hey, we acknowledge your community and we want to be a part of it. But when they want to, when you bring up, why aren't you doing that with Latinos that speak English? They say, well, if they speak English, they'll respond to our normal campaign. And obviously you're missing, right? Like, no, that's not how it works. Like, whether it's English or Spanish, it needs to kind of touch, the audience that you're trying to reach. And some companies get it, right, and you're starting to see commercials where you can see it's aimed at us, but there's English, it's in English, or they think, oh, well, all we have to do is advertise on Univision or Telemundo, and so we're good with that aspect of it.
We check the box.
And again, it's true, right? Again, I saw this stat, and on any given night, Univision has more people watching than ABC, NBC, and CBS combined, right? Yeah, I get it. You are reaching a big number of people, but you're missing, again, half of that spectrum, which is people that prefer English or have been raised here already, or second, third, fourth generation, even more than that, right? Because I'm sure you guys have all heard the saying here in the Southwest. There's a saying that we didn't cross the border crossed us, right? So we've been here, right?
We never gone nowhere. Yes,
I was raised listening to that phrase: "The border crossed you, not you cross the border."
Yes.
Good morning.
Exactly.
And the thing with that is, they advertise in Univision and Telemundo, but we're listening to them, but they're not touching us. That is the big difference. They're being exposed, but there's no touch because he doesn't cater. It's like they take a general commercial and just translate it like it's going to make sense.
Exactly.
And it's really not making sense because they're, like I said, they're reaching, but they're not touching.
100%. And that's something I've started to find work in that space again in marketing, and it comes in waves. And it seemed for a few years that they didn't really care again about kind of reaching the market, and now they do again. And no, you hit the nail right on the head that most companies' marketing campaign for Hispanics is find someone with a Spanish last name that works here and have them translate all of our stuff into Spanish, and they feel like that's enough. So there's no cultural, there's no sense of authentically integrating into the community. Just translate it. And again, the kind of argument that I've made in different meetings that I've had with these companies is that I use the African American, I use the Black, the urban campaigns as an example. Like, okay, why don't you do that with those campaigns? If you feel like it's just a language thing, why do companies cater to or try to integrate into that community, by showing things that they believe are authentic, or having a certain kind of music or a certain person, but you don't realize the correlation with trying to reach the Spanish speaking market. And but it's coming to a point where I mentioned there was an explosion in 2005, 2006, but it's coming to a point now where it's been a few years of just domination, especially in the music market, which the music market kind of controls the pop, kind of pop culture and pop market. For the first time, I don't know if you guys know, but for the first time ever, I think, country music has always been the number one selling music in the United States. In 2019, Latin urban music took that over. So the best selling music again in the United States is urban Latin music.
It's crossing over.
It's taking over, right? And
it's like that. It's like the old Pepsi commercial, the choice of a new generation.
Yeah.
You know what I think they miss, which is the same thing that sometimes we as entrepreneurs miss, is same thing we spoke before, targeting demographics. You need to adjust to the market where you want to penetrate. You can't just go in with a one size fits all, because the letter that may trigger Rick to answer my advertising may not be the same letter that Joe Smith is going to trigger to. And they may be in the same neighboring areas, but not necessarily, because it has to be targeted. It has to be specific. You have to know your audience. you have to penetrate that audience in order for them to get a reaction to your product. And that's exactly what you're saying. And by the way, I grew up in New York City, so La Mega 97.9 is my favorite radio station. Thank you for your contribution. So the thing I wanted to say is that we felt the same way as New York kids growing up with Univision, because they only targeted usually people of Mexican descent. That's why I speak to Rick, I speak to Tony, I speak to Antonio Nava, and I could go and do the Mexican lingo because I learned it as a kid because, we only had one TV, which is, normal for those days. But the demographic thing, that's number one in business. And
wait a minute. So you're saying that they flipped the script in New York, they would put Mexican music,
well,
and in San Diego,
Univision,
they would put
Univision is
salsa music. What happened here?
Listen, so Univision, as you know, is nationwide. So what they do is when they break, they just go to the local news at 6 p.m. And then at 6:30 p.m. comes Univision, Noticias Univision, which is the national news program. But everything else in between. Listen, I grew up watching La Carabina de Ambrosio, El Chavo del Ocho. So how could you, So that's exactly it. So that's what I'm saying. But as growing up, I said, wait a minute, these people are not catering to the Dominican community. And then we moved to cable, where they did have local guys that did the Dominican shows and the merengue shows and the salsa shows. I grew up in what they used to call Los Años Dorados del Merengue. So I'm a very musical kid because we try to embrace our culture back home, from our parents, what we listen to at home, with the with the music, because that's really what brought us home. So that's what we did. We comforted ourselves in the songs that we listened, as children, and now as young, adolescents, we used to do the same thing. We never abandoned our culture, but we had targeting from the clubs, from the news media, from many other places, encouraging us to listen to salsa, merengue. There was no reggaeton back then. The first reggaeton was with Daddy Yankee with his old name Playero, and the guy that used to and this other dude that used to run very well. I can't remember his name. Es lo que hay a todas ellas. So, and of course, we listen to this side of the music, to this side of the world. I said this side because I'm in Phoenix today. I'm going back home, but so we did listen to Rico Suave when he came out. Yeah. Because we wanted that identity. We were missing that identity that we couldn't find in radio stations in New York, because La Mega 97.9 started as La Mega 98, which it was by SBS Radio. Right. So demographics, people listening for business-wise, right. This is a lesson on choose your market, target your audience, because if you're throwing your advertising, that's it. La vecindad del chavo. Listen, I know that. I think
that's why I don't wear my glasses. See, you know, I mean, like. Pero mira, Jesus, really important, Jesse. What negozee.com is. Negozee is a portal for entrepreneurs, Latino entrepreneurs, a place where they can connect accountants, attorneys, investment, retirement brokerage firms, financial advisors, insurance agents, anything, gardeners from construction companies, contractors. So it's an entrepreneurial site that connects everybody in business. And apart from that, there's also classes that are given out for accountants. They want to improve their skills to be a better accountant or understand their customers or the Latino customers better, or contractors that want to understand their finances better to continue their growth of their company. And from all types of artists, gig economy, anybody that is like yourself are going to be coming up. That's our little show that we do every Saturday. It's number 18 right now. All right. So that's why I was really interested in. I've always been interested in everything that you do. You have a very, very amazing talent. Apart everybody that he's doing all this, he's a very musical person. You compose, right? You write. You're a writer. You make beats. you're in the mix, you're in the business. So on the Latin Rhythm conference, what days are they? Is there a website that we can look up right now? Is there something that we can do so we can promote that?
Yeah, sorry about that. You've asked me twice, and I keep going back to marketing because it's something that just excites me.
It's very passionate. Yes.
Yeah.
We're marketing junkies. We just want to get it through. We want to get it done. We want to get it to the audience. We want them to know. So now we are your audience, my friend. What are those dates?
Yes, sir. It is September 15th and 16th in Las Vegas. September 15th and 16th in Las Vegas. And I started to say earlier, so it used to be called Latin Rap Conference. I've rebranded it to be called Latin Rhythm Conference, even though it's always been inclusive of reggaeton and other styles of music. This year, when I started to talk about it again, people were asking, hey, is reggaeton included? And now there's these other genres coming out of New York, specifically Latin trap and Spanish trap, they call it, and Brooklyn drill. And so I rebranded it.
It's from new, up and coming, and existing. We don't know. Bad Bunny might show up. I'm not saying he is, but we don't know, right? So.
Yeah, no, exactly. We're in the past, the conferences we had in the past always had the biggest names attend. Daddy Yankee attended back in 2005. Like and so right now the biggest artists now they're a little bit bigger, than Daddy Yankee was at that time. But yeah, this is the website. It's LatinRhythmConference.com, and we are inviting everyone. There's a really good chance that a lot of the bigger names will show up because J Balvin. There's an artist named Carol G. They're actually in Las Vegas that same week. So the date wasn't picked by accident, September 15th and 16th. That week of 16 de septiembre, the week of Mexican Independence Day, is a huge week in Las Vegas. It's estimated that half a million Mexicans visit Las Vegas every year during that week. So since the 80s, when Julio Cesar Chavez, the boxer, was big, and
amazing.
The promoters, I think it was probably Don King, but somebody was smart enough to understand that they always made a fight in May and in September. And the September one is the biggest one, as we all know. Cinco de Mayo is not the hugest deal for Mexicans, but 16 de septiembre is a big deal. And so the Saturday after that, the 15th and 16th fall on a Wednesday, Thursday, I believe. The Saturday after that, right now the rumor, it's nothing set yet, but right now the rumor is that Canelo's going to fight. There's also, again, like I said, J Balvin's going to be here. And then I think I heard that on the night of the 15th, which is, the grito that happens at midnight to celebrate Mexican independence, happens on midnight, of the night of the 15th. And
El grito de Puebla.
So that night, there's usually a concert as well. And right now, I believe it's Alejandro Fernandez is scheduled to perform that night here in Las Vegas. So there's going to be 500,000 Mexicans in Las Vegas, regardless of the Latin Rhythm Conference. But because there's, a lot of marketers and promoters that are savvy to this, kind of align themselves around that week and try to take advantage of the traffic here. And so for me, knowing that there's going to probably be a big fight, there's going to be a couple big concerts. My conference takes place mostly in the daytime. And so I can take advantage of the fact that a lot of artists want to be here anyway. And so that's how the invitations are going out. And we're getting really good response. We have some record labels, Atlantic Records, Def Jam Recordings, already confirmed to attend and have executives from those companies attend, just like we've always done in the past. And some really strong sponsors also, all related to the music industry at this point. But any company, anyone who is in any way, shape, or form wanting to get involved with Latino culture at all, because what a lot of people also, I think the reason why I was getting a lot of calls back then when I was started this conference is because people understand the tastemakers and the trendsetters, right? If you get these artists to support or endorse your brand or your company, you basically inherit all of the followers as well. And so the cross-pollination opportunities are tremendous when it comes to the millions and millions of tens of millions of followers that these artists have across their social media spaces.
And in this conference, what is it going to consist of to all the attendees that are in this conference? Are we going to have? Is there going to be sessions? Is it going to be just talking about the how hard it is to be in this business, or to get information from the people that have already been through the system in the business, and kind of talk to the young ones that are coming up, the up and coming new Bad Bunnies, the up and coming new Balvins? Is that what this conference is about? To educate, talk to them about business, how to deal with their finances, etc. Exactly.
Yeah. So everything from how to market your music, to where to go to try and get your music. Again, back then we talked a lot about radio. How to get your music on radio was one of the most popular kind of panel discussions that we had. Now radio is not as important. It's still important, but it's not as important as the DSPs, what we call the digital streaming platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, YouTube. How to get your music in front of the right people there. And everyone knows you can just upload your stuff, but how do you get on the playlist? How do you get your numbers up? How do you promote music digitally, right, in this new world? So all of those things are going to be in there. And then on the business aspect of it, yeah, definitely ASCAP and BMI, which are the performing rights societies, which is how the people that collect your money. It's kind of like the union for songwriters. A lot of people out there do not have, their publishing and their writing stuff in order, and are missing out on money just that's floating around out there because they wrote a song that was used in a TV show or a commercial. And then definitely looking forward to Rick, to you getting involved with a discussion, around the finer aspects, the more detailed aspects of just even, what kind of business you should open between an LLC and an S Corp, and all the different ways that you can, that some of these independent record labels, or even an independent artist that's not signed, needs to look at themselves as a business, right? So that they understand how to do their accounting, and how to separate, their life from their business financially. And those are very valuable topics that I'm looking forward to, as we discussed a workshop that you're gonna provide as a breakout session during the conference.
That's amazing. And that's my passion, Jesse. And as you know, I've known you for many years, growing up here in San Diego in the South Bay. We're border town kids, and that's one of my passions, is to educate, to, we can make something stronger, and we can, it's funny, a lot of our groups that we actually grew up, we all have the same mentality of to excel, to improve ourselves, our family. And that's why, I'm getting the chills right now, because I feel like this is exactly what I'm talking about, is in full circle, is pass it on. Change our culture, make our culture stronger, change the way we think of it's okay to ask questions. Está bien a preguntar, está bien que no saber todo, ¿entiendes? Let's mix it up, and these conferences are amazing, just like what Tony's doing. It's funny because I'm seeing Tony, I'm seeing Jesse, I'm seeing, Jesus, everybody that's here right now. We're all in the same kind of movement of empowering movement, and share the knowledge, and share, because you have a mass knowledge of your industry. It's just you can talk, Jesse, freestyle, and everybody. Again, I told Jesse hours ago to be on the show. I don't, next week we can have somebody that it's going to blow the doors, just like what Jesse's doing right now. You just blew my mind, because you just freestyled for 35, 40 minutes with precise execution, just because and you're passionate of what you're doing. Eso es lo que yo quiero atender a todos mis clientes cuando vienen conmigo, es esa misma pasión. Give that passion, give that empowerment. So when our customers are in front of us, we give them that same empowerment like if they're at a conference. And Jesse, that's how I roll. That's what I do. I love to illuminate the gifts the power that everybody has and illuminate, say, you can do this. This is the step that needs to be done. And obviously, I also have to learn. I learned a lot right now. What you just explained on marketing, I learned a lot. So this conference, anybody can, and anybody, if anybody wants to join it or attend it to see the movement of business in this type of industry, are interested in being involved in the industry in their local areas, they can attend this conference, or is it specific people that can attend it?
No, it's open. It's open to everyone. But again, the kind of the value in the conference is that it's mostly usually been, industry, music industry, or people interested in working with people in the music industry. So it's not for fans is the point. But if you have business and you have a kind of an intent and something you want to accomplish by reaching some of the people in this industry, then it's a great conference for you to attend, because this is where they're all going to be. And something I didn't mention, but remember that these artists all have their businesses, right? They don't show up alone. They show up with their managers, with their publishing companies, with their with the people that are kind of running their business. And the ones that are successful obviously have a lot of other businesses, a lot of other things that they do in their communities, ways that they give back. We've actually had a panel in the past, and we're going to have it this year again as well. Just an open forum about community involvement and what are you doing to give back? And people have been called out, on the panels, like, what are you doing to give back? What are you doing to pull up somebody behind you? And in those sessions, a lot of cool things have come out about things in the community that maybe we didn't know about. Not everyone is vocal about, the things that they do in the community. Some people are doing it and don't want the recognition or the praise, so they're not putting out press releases about the things that they're doing. But in a forum like that, what's really cool about the Latin rap and the Latin rhythm conference is that because it seems like it's all industry and it's kind of all us, it feels like, even though there's 400 people there, it's like you're in the living room with your family, right? And you can say whatever you want. And we've had some pretty intimate, if you can believe it, with 300, 400 people, some pretty intimate discussions about what we need to do. And people have been called out, and people have been, praised, and all kind of aspects of how we can continue to educate and empower not only, aspiring artists and musicians, but just the community as a whole. And so in those ways, it's very gratifying as well to be a part of this thing.
Awesome.
What I really like about it, Jesse, is it's entrepreneurship, right? At the end, it's just a different industry, but it's still entrepreneurship. And like you said, if you're the talent, you're the artist, you have a team behind you. It's the same concept. If you're a great cook, right, and you're doing fajitas, you still need to run a business around your talent. Or if you're a great landscaper, or in this case, a great artist, a great plumber, you still need to run a business around your skill set and your talent.
You perform.
What negozee is about is negocio, right? Negocio, entrepreneurship. In this case, this is awesome because it's a new industry we haven't had on the show before, but it exists. It's Latino. It's an industry. So I love it. A question: I take crypto as a form of payment. Could you explain a little bit? Because I'm thinking I want to take crypto on negozee.com and like how that works and because that's innovative, right? To be able to take cryptocurrency as a form of payment, because it's an asset, so it can fluctuate. So I'm just curious how that works.
So obviously cryptocurrency is a big deal right now. I don't gamble. It's kind of funny. I live in Las Vegas. One of the reasons why I think it's okay for me to live in Las Vegas, because I don't gamble in the sense of slot machines, right? But all of us, any entrepreneur on this call knows if you're investing money into a business, you're gambling, right?
Yeah.
So I've done that all my life, right? I have invested and made money and lost money in businesses. But as far as putting money into like a machine, I won't do it. And as far as the stock market and stuff, I obviously have I have a 401k and things like that. But I don't personally play, like I don't personally watch the numbers on a daily basis and look at what goes up and down. I do the safer things when it comes to that kind of stuff. I take big risks in my companies and businesses, but with the income, I try to make safer choices. That being said, yeah, crypto is crazy, right? There's, you could, within seconds, it changes hundreds of dollars sometimes. So I wasn't at first interested in it until I came across a company called BitPay. So bitpay.com is kind of like a PayPal. So it's a window you can use. It's a storefront you can use on your site that'll accept Bitcoin, and it has a list, Dogecoin. It has a list. What is it called? Ethereum. Yeah, it has a list of the different cryptocurrencies that they accept, which are the major ones. And with BitPay, the cool thing is you can either leave your money in that currency and deposit it into your bank account whenever you feel like it. So in other words, you're still letting it play, or you can set it up to where you grab it instantly. And so that's what I'm doing. Maybe I'm going to miss out on some money, but as soon as they pay me with crypto, it's going to convert to that current right now US dollars and go to my bank account, because I'm not interested. And again, you guys might, and people out there might feel differently, but I'm not interested in playing that, game or gambling on that side of it. I'm accepting crypto for its like dollar value at the moment, just to make it easier for the people that probably have some money out there and might not, have the avenue to spend it. And I know a lot of big companies are accepting, cryptocurrency now, mostly Bitcoin, but they're accepting cryptocurrency. But not everyone, right? Not everyone's accepting it. And I know in the music industry, it's a bit of a big deal. And so I feel like there's a lot of people out there who kind of look at it as play money or as something that they have and they can't really touch it because there's not a lot of cool ways to spend it. A lot of people that accept it. So I feel like we just opened registration a couple of days ago, just yesterday, actually. So I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you in touch with how that side of it goes. But I'm anticipating somebody who may have been on the fence or maybe like, I don't know if I'm going to go to this thing or not. And they see, crypto. Oh yeah, I'll do that because it's money that they're not touching, or it's not, people that have their money in that aren't really using that money for their every month bills and stuff. So I think it's going to be a good thing. But yeah, this bitpay.com makes it easy.
That's really cool. It's like, I know, like you say, Jesus says, when you go to a meetup like this or an event, there's always a little nugget of information. And this is huge, like for all the entrepreneurs that are listening, that you can take crypto as a form of payment. Pay.com, I didn't know the site existed. Now I do, because an entrepreneur like Jesse has told other entrepreneurs about this. So thanks for this information, Jesse.
You're welcome. And again, you could have always accepted crypto if you played in crypto, right? You just give somebody your, here's, send it to this name or whatever, your profile or whatever, but you're still gambling and you're playing it. So anyone who's not playing in that space can now accept crypto, through this kind of platform. So yeah.
So paycrypto.com is the new PayPal, basically. It's a different form of PayPal.
It is,
so
yeah.
It's a form of payment to the website, or to whatever services you're providing.
Yeah,
have your account, have the link, and let them choose. Paying US dollars or paying crypto, I'll take it anytime.
Exactly.
I'm calling my web developer Monday morning to add that to my website.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like from an entrepreneurship standpoint, is make it easy for people to give you money, right? Forms of money. So what you're doing here, Jesse, is lo más fácil. Like you got USD, you got crypto, you got Bitcoin.
It's increasing your POS, point of sale.
To me, it feels like I'm broadening my fan. So I'm widening the wings of the fan by allowing people to pay with that. Yes.
At Cafecito con Negozee, every Saturday, Jesse, I bring in people like yourself that are experts, that are in the grind, that are in the trenches, that have been through it, that are going to give information. I want everybody to excel. This is the people that we try to bring in every Saturday. It's every Saturday is a surprise. And I'm super happy that you were able to be on board with us today. And honestly, I can't wait to be a part of the Latin Rhythm Conference on September 15th. I'll talk to you more about that. But I will have a team there, and it's going to be amazing because it's something that I am very passionate about. So I want to thank you, Jesse, again, and thank you for having this time, and it's such a short notice that you came on board to give us all the wealth of information that you just gave us, and all the information for your conference that's coming up. And I urge everybody to, if you're interested in just increasing your knowledge of how business entrepreneurs are thinking and what they have to go through in all types, from contratistas, restaurant owners, artists, tattoo artists, from songwriters and performing artists, and all aspects. Find out. Visualize, because once you start visualizing what they're going through, you'll be able to assist them better in whatever product you're selling them. If it's accounting, if it's helping them understand notices of IRS or state notices, or if it's insurance services or retirement plans, or need a contractor to build a stage, this is where negozee, this is where you get those resources. There is mass amounts of resources for everybody. And I'm glad that the people that are on here right now, they just got a nugget of wealth right now of information that you shared with us. And I really applaud you, and I thank you, Jesse, for being a part of this today.
Tony, please keep Jesse's information so that we can all follow up and perhaps get on a mailing list.
Jesse to be on
so that we can support his efforts.
Absolutely. Gracias, Jesus. I want to invite you. I'll send you a link so you can go on to negozee.com and create a membership, Tony. And that's pretty much easy, right? Tony?
Yeah. You can just have a profile. There's different levels. You can just have like a profile. You can start connecting with people. And the idea is to make negozee kind of like a LinkedIn for entrepreneurship, for small business owners. Kind of a social media site, education component. There's profiles, conexiones, educación, apoyar, eventos. Ahorita son virtuales, virtual, but soon in person. And your event in September. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so
again,
Rick,
yes.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't want to log off and make you think I left you. I got to catch a plane. I'm going to Miami. So I'll see you guys next week. Tony, I'll see you Monday.
All right. Saludos.
Be blessed. Jesse, thank you so much for putting our culture up in front, up ahead, and for everything you do. Thank you so much.
Gotcha.
And you're welcome to come back to negozee anytime on my behalf, because
Thank you.
I'll pull some strings.
Yeah, for sure.
Be well, guys.
All right.
Later.
Well, thank you, everybody. Today we're going to have a short session at 8 o'clock. We're going to end it. I want to thank you, Jesse. You have a lot of great information. I hope you were able to log on to negozee and create a little membership there, a little, put your profile where they can talk to you more about marketing, or, offer your services, or talk more about your conferences coming up. But again, quiero darle gracias a todos que atendieron ahora en Cafecito con Negozee 8 de mayo. Y muchas gracias, y que tengan un muy buen fin de semana. Gracias a todos. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody. Big up to everybody. I love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, todos. Have a good day.